Our NAIA featured games for this week. Here's the big ones. As we put this week behind us, we put the short week behind us, the 26 games, all the buys, everybody out, having pina coladas on a Saturday night. Well, now you got to get back to work, right? Friends in Southwestern, kind of been waiting for this one. Two undefeated teams in the KCAC. And this is a game that will allow a Taylor, a Campbellsville, a Cumberland to potentially get into the top 25 now, because we're going to have a loss in that last half of the top 25.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking forward to this. I mean, again, from a standing standpoint, these are the top two, correct? I'm sorry, I don't have like the standings right in front of me. I assume so. So again, the automatic qualifier, obviously, that's a huge part of this. Huge game. Is that arguably the biggest game so far in the conference now that we're getting into it. So it's a really big one.
Yeah, looking forward to it. You're going to have a real run-style offense coming from Friends University, Southwestern, a little bit more balance there. The Mound Builders get this game at home. It is a little. We're not talking about a whole lot of travel in the KCAC, but Southwestern is a tougher place to play than maybe some of the other sites in the KCAC. So we're looking forward to this one. Looking forward to getting into some real KCAC conference action. We go back to the Mid-States Football Association, and we get to see Indiana Wesleyan, who we've got a lot of fans on the stream for Indiana Wesleyan. We thank you. Going to Taylor, and you saw a football game at Taylor. You've seen Taylor play a couple games this year via film and live in person. This is a game, it's tough to say. I mean, because nobody really has tested Indiana Wesleyan in the conference the way we wanted them to yet. Could Taylor?
Yes, I'm going to say for this reason. It's at Taylor. This will be a awesome environment, just absolutely cool. I may take a trip down there even.
There you go.
So we'll see. I think this is going to be a great one. Here's the caveat to that. I'm hearing there's quarterback injuries at Taylor.
Okay.
So I don't know that. I don't want to spread rumors. I think that the quarterbacks are banged up. But I'll tell you what, they played a great football game the last time they were out. They're all coming off a bye week. I hope that is.
Hands up real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I screwed up the slide. The game's at Indiana Wesleyan.
Okay. They're
my bad, everyone. My bad.
15,
my bad. Stop yelling at me, everyone.
Sorry. 15 minutes apart. So it's good. Another great environment. So, and Taylor will travel well. Obviously, campuses are 15 minutes apart, maybe.
It's been a minute since I've been that direction, but are they like literally on the same east-west road? Okay,
same east-west. Yeah, like literally of I-69, which is the main through, like the road from Fort Wayne to Indianapolis. You have Taylor on the east side of 69. You have Marion, Indiana, where Indiana Wesleyan is located, is west of I-69. They're right there. I mean, literally, you can take the same exit and get there. So very, very close. They've been a rival in all sports forever. Faith-based institution. It's just a whole lot of rivalry there, history there with these schools. I will say, I think Wesleyan, like I mentioned before, outside the state of Florida, is the best team east of the Mississippi. It's not. I don't think it's even close right now. But Taylor, coming off a bye, if they can figure out that quarterback position, and I hope, I would love to see the young man that played, was a true freshman against St. Francis and played unbelievably. I know he got banged up at the end of that game. I hope he's back and healthy, because I'd love to see Taylor with a full complement of players. And that system, Jason, offensive system, is a challenge to prepare for and defend. And here's Taylor been sitting here for 2 weeks prepping for Iowa. I'm not saying that's going to make, that this is going to be a Taylor victory. I don't think, again, I say this, of course, they've blown out everybody, but I think this is a good game. I really do. I think it will be, because I think Taylor is, I'm going to say it. I mean, Marion beat him in overtime, right?
Yep.
I think it's a coin flip who the best team between those two is, for who's the second best team in the Mid-States Football Association. And there's still a game with, St. Francis and Marion coming down the pike. Who's the second, who's the third best team in that league? In my opinion, I think it's Taylor. I've had an eye test. I have evaluated these teams. I think Taylor's pretty darn good, Jason. And I don't think they beat Indiana Wesleyan this week, but I don't think they lose again. I'm serious. If they can get, some semblance of consistency at quarterback with some of the issues with injuries, I think that's the key element. But I love the way this team plays, and they're extremely well coached. They play with everything they've got, everything. And coming off that bye week, I think it's a huge deal. Where I think this game is more competitive, maybe with Taylor coming off a bye week.
So the two things I will say about this game, based on what I've seen from Taylor, and I'm just basing this off Taylor, I think for who Indiana Wesleyan has played in the Mid-States Football Association so far, I think Taylor is going to give them the most resistance for the longest period of time in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all 4 quarters? It might be an awesome game. Is it for 3 quarters? Is it for 2 quarters? Because they haven't had much resistance past 2 quarters. I think Taylor is going to give them the most resistance in this game. I don't know if it'll end up being the closest of those. I don't know if Taylor will end up getting the victory. I don't put money on NAIA games. That'd be silly. But my gut, obviously, I think Indiana Wesleyan's going to win this. They're going to win it by a couple scores. But I'm not rooting for Taylor. I'm not rooting for Indiana, but I'm rooting for a good game because, one, it'll help sharpen Indiana Wesleyan. It'll help sharpen Taylor for the rest of the season because both those teams could potentially be in the postseason. Now, I did have one in the chat here for you, Pat. I don't know if you can see this pop up. Just one.
Ivanhoe's is a state treasure, regional treasure. It's a great point, Eric. You're absolutely right. I have 100%. If I would take my excuse would be if I took one of my kids, like, hey, we gotta go to Ivanhoe's, get ice cream. Oh yeah, so it's an excuse for me. Going by yourself's kind of pathetic. Going to Ivanhoe's.
Is it just an ice cream shop? Is that what it is?
No, it is like an old school, like throwback, diner type. But
okay.
I don't know. Eric will probably have to help me with this. It's like 50 different combinations of like milkshakes and sundaes. They get real creative with stuff. It's cool. It's just a throwback. You feel like you're in 1960. And they've been around. I'm certainly around that time. I think that it's right across the street from campus. That's such a cool place. My kids love it. Every time we go to a game there, it's got to be a must. So it's a great point.
I love it.
I love your point though, Jason. Going back to this real quick. Your point is so spot on about how I think Taylor can give Indiana Wesleyan the most competition for the longest period because of that character, because of I think how they're constructed in that they are such a tough, they're physical, they believe, man. I mean, they're a high character group, and I'm anxious for this one. I really am. Again, I'm not making any bold predictions. At the same time, I love your take, and I think you're spot on that this is going to be the most competitive, I think, at least the Mid-States Football Association thus far, that Indiana Wesleyan will see. I'm going to bring out one more point. I think this is a huge thing for Indiana Wesleyan that they blew out Marion. Because I think if they're an emotional victory, let's say it's a fourth quarter, Indiana Wesleyan wins by 10 points or, a touchdown against Marion, which we kind of predicted we thought would happen. I think that's a huge advantage for Taylor. Coming off, Indiana Wesleyan playing that emotional game and physical, it wasn't. So yeah. I think advantage Iowa in that regard, going into the Taylor game. But Taylor does come off the bye week, so it's interesting. There's a lot of background stories and things like that are factors certainly. But no, it's going to be a good one. I firmly believe that. Of course, I said that about the Marion and Indiana Wesleyan game. I thought that was going to be a good one, but cue up your dry heaving sound that you had from last week. Oh boy. The blowout.
There you go. Sorry. The other one, number 1, Keiser taking on Southeastern. I've got Southeastern in my top 25. The coaches don't. They're probably rated 20 through 30 team right now. This will be a game that'll give them an opportunity maybe to prove themselves a little bit, Pat. And Southeastern's a team not many people know about, but you have to understand they started off the season with a 34-0 win over Faulkner. They then beat a rated Reinhardt team 28-10. They beat University of Fort Lauderdale 37-0, but then they beat Weber International 45-0 before the game this week they were supposed to have with Florida Memorial, which was canceled due to the hurricane. They're now going to play Keiser, who had their game this week canceled due to the hurricane. So 2 weeks to get healthy for both of these teams, even though they were preparing for games on Saturday. Keiser, canceled the game a lot earlier in the week, so they kind of shipped their focus then to Southeastern at that point. So this could be a real test for Keiser and, a barometer reading for where Southeastern is. Is Southeastern and the Sun Conference in general getting deeper, getting better? Are they going to provide some resistance to Keiser? Or is this a game that Keiser's going to come out and roll and we're going to go, oh, yeah, I guess it is just Keiser and St. Thomas in the Sun Conference. I think Southeastern's going to give them some resistance. The conference is getting better. Southeastern's a team a couple of years ago was in the NAIA postseason. So this is a team that has had some success. They just have kind of been forgotten about because of how Keiser and St. Thomas have kind of taken over the lead in that conference. So I don't think you should sleep on this game. I think it'll be a good one.
No, I totally agree. And I wonder, really Southeastern of the Sun Conference schools, they were really right in that line of the Hurricane, being in Central Florida there. So hopefully everything is okay there. I'm sure they've had a lot of issues and distractions, certainly. And I know that's a resilient group and, well-coached program and all that. So I'm looking forward to this one because I agree with you, Jason. I mean, this is a great opportunity for Southeastern because, like you said, they have been a playoff team. They've been around a little longer than Keiser. I would say they probably year 10, 12, something like that. Being a part of the NAIA, great facility down there in Central Florida. I'm looking forward to this one because, like you said, can there be another team in that Sun Conference that can show that this is a deeper conference than what we may have thought at the beginning of the season?
Keiser got a lot of All-Americans on that team. They returned Shea Spencer, of course, at quarterback. Jade Meisinger, no update really on his health, but I haven't reached out on it. He did leave the game against St. Thomas late with an injury. Andrew Burnett at the other running back position. You got DeAndre Golden. You've got the Van Greats kid. I mean, there's a lot of good football players for Keiser. You might not know a whole lot about Southeastern. Like Keiser, they are a team that is going to be successful depending on how they run the football. They average 210 yards per game running the football. They're only throwing for about 150 yards per game, so they're a little more run dominant than what Keiser or than what people would maybe think they would be. They're a lot more like Keiser, a lot more like that. You think Florida football, you think fun and gun and throwing the ball all over. The three best teams, they run the ball pretty dang good down there.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good one. Looking forward to this one.
Other games to keep your eye on this week, you got Georgetown going to Cumberland, who Cumberland, just gets a big win this last week over Bethel. They got a chance to prove themselves against Georgetown and show if the Phoenix deserve to be at the top of the top of the Mid-South Conference. A great one between the Tigers and Cumberland, and Georgetown has to travel for this one.
Right, and Georgetown's in that cusp, Jason. They can't drop another one.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously, we're. I know we lost. They lost to was it Alabama A&M or something like
Alabama
that?
A&M and lost to Montana Tech. Yep.
So 2 losses, just 2 losses, 3-2.
But a very close game against Pikeville and a very close game against Reinhardt.
Right. I mean, we're Georgetown's got some things figured out, and they need to. That's a Final Four team from a year ago, and I know they expect more of themselves. So, this is a great challenge, and this has got to be a game they play well in, certainly on the road.
Yep, and then you got St. Xavier going to St. Francis. This is a bit of a rivalry game in the Chicagoland area. You got St. Francis just out of the top 25. They're going to go against St. Xavier, who is teetering on the edge of if they should remain in the top 25. St. Xavier drops this game. They're probably out of the top 25. St. Francis might get the opportunity to pop back in there. A nice rivalry game that's been very one-sided. St. Xavier has won the majority of the games in this rivalry, but it's as close as you can get to a rivalry game NAIA football in the Chicagoland area.
Oh, this is the Coach Femness Cup.
Yes.
What do you call it? Yeah, Coach Fem played. There was a great All-American linebacker at St. Francis, Illinois back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. I think Coach Newell also went there as well. So these guys are all St. Francis Fighting Saints, and they're the St. Xavier coaches. So interesting, yeah. And the staffs are very close, and it's a good rivalry. This is going to be an interesting one as well. I think the winner of this game is definitely on a different level in the Mid-States West, certainly.
I can't remember if Gordy Gillespie was his football coach or if he was just because he was coaching football and baseball at St. Francis, Illinois. For those of you that just went, how Gordy Gillespie, where's that come? If you don't know the name, Google it. One of the all-around great coaches in general in high school and college athletics.
And he was also featured in a film, Rudy.
Yes, Rudy.
Yep.
Not accurately, from what I have.
Oh, really? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But he was portrayed as Coach Gillespie, I think, as Rudy's high school coach in Joliet.
Yes.
Catholic, I believe, right?
Yep. Because I think he was more of the, encourager coach, and the coach in the movie is more like, "You'll never get there, kid."
Fire and brimstone, yeah.
Yeah, one of those wasn't really accurate. All right, we move on to another game to keep your eye on. Campbellsville, undefeated, going to Lindsey Wilson, who will drop out of the top 25 this week. This is a get-right game for Lindsey Wilson and the Blue Raiders. If they want to keep their season on track, get an opportunity for the postseason, they got to win this. Campbellsville, they want to stay at the top of the Mid-South Conference and then potentially get into the top 25. They need to win this game, a fantastic one in the Mid-South Conference.
I'm the biggest Campbellsville Fighting Tigers fan.
You are.
So I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I've been on the bandwagon, baby. And this is a trophy game, I think. Have they started a trophy game? Because these
I think it is.
It's whatever that is, the highway that connects the two. I've seen that before. Yeah. I don't think I've made that up. So a rivalry game. Lindsey Wilson's not been around all that long, but been around long enough, and there's certainly proximity with the schools that this is a rivalry. Two very good teams, top 25 level teams. And again, I'm the biggest Campbellsville fan, so I'm excited about this one.
I love it. You're going to get yourself some maroon and gray put on Saturday. Be watching this one. It's going to be great. Go. Mayville State at Dickinson State. You might look at this and go, Mayville and Dickinson, why is this game keep your eye on? Because Dickinson holds control of the conference right now. And there's really only one team left that could challenge for a conference tie, even if Dickinson were to slip up later in the season and lose a game in the North Star Athletic Association. And Mayville is the team that kind of has got that upper hand right now, even though they've lost to Dickinson once this year. If they win this game, then we get into tiebreaker scenarios, and you could be talking Mayville potentially for the at-large out of the Northern Sun. But none of that matters if Mayville doesn't win this game. That's why I say keep your eye on this game. I think Dickinson is going to handle this game, but Mayville, hey, credit to them, 4-2, much improved as a program. Rocky Larson's done a great job at that with the Comets.
Keep your eye on it.
Keep your eye on it. And then in the KCAC, you got Bethel and McPherson going up against one another. There is no fear in McPherson, by the way.
I know you didn't make that up. You didn't make that up.
I did not make that up. So I'll finish this game, then I'll tell this. So McPherson has played very well this season. They've kind of come out of the gate strong. They have an opportunity to maybe get an at-large into the NAIA postseason. They need this win. Bethel also started off the same way, very hot. Lost a couple games. They could get themselves back on track, challenge for a conference title. But the winner of this game is definitely going to get the upper hand, so keep your eye on it. So I'm from Nebraska, and there's a county, McPherson County, and there's a McPherson the town, and everywhere in my life that was pronounced McPherson. First time I go to McPherson College, I go, well, I'm just glad to be here at McPherson, and they just kind of dead eye me and they go, there is no fear in McPherson. I'm like, what? And they're like, that's how you pronounce it. It's McPherson, not McPherson. Right. I'm like, oh, I'm the idiot. Thank you. Appreciate that.